videos on my video are right crack there. Now all his fans, all those ratels, the ones who like say they know they think again. They don't even God self. If that man come out today and say God is evil, you will be calling the God evil. That kind of person now gonna say crack, like crack as how? Are you crazy? I'm going to drop my note. I will just show them my tutorial test result.
Alright, so while we are waiting for our talks of any other person or President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have tested and it's now time for us to see the result, right? Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu became the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the most populous black nation on earth. He became the 5th democratic president of Nigeria on the 29th of May 2023. Now, before his election, during his campaign, he said a lot of things. He used a lot of things to campaign. He used insecurity. He claimed that he was coming to stabilize the economy. The mistakes that Buhari made is coming to correct them. And there's one thing that they used to campaign. That is, they said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is so rich and is not coming to steal the country's wealth. But over the years, the past 3 years, all what they've done is to steal the country's wealth, right? Now, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office on the 29th of May 2023, the first thing he did, he said, we are not going to be paying for subsidy anymore. So therefore, the prices of fuel is going to increase because they want to use that money that they use in paying for subsidy to better the country. And it's so much money, according to them. It's so much money, right? So he entered office, surprisingly, 2 months later, as you can see, on the 13th of July, was brought into office May, June, July, 13th of July 2023, Nigerian Senate approved Tinubu's $800 million World Bank loan. Till today, they've not been able to account for this money. Where's the money for the subsidy removal? We are not even talking about that one yet, right? Now we move. After that, as you can see again, later that same year, the federal government has secured another loan of $747 million to finance Phase 1, Section 1 of the Lagos-Calabar Highway. The Minister of Finance announced yesterday that the Deutsche Bank arranged the facility. 800 million, and they've gone to collect another 747 million in that same year. Again, in that same year, on the 24th of July, 2025, as you can see, Tinubu requests additional $347 million loan for the coastal highway telecom infrastructure. Remember, these people collected $747 billion already from the Deutsche Bank. They came back again to go and request another loan. And this one they claim is for the telecom infrastructure. 800 million, 747 million, and then there's 347 million in just, he never even reached 5 months for office. Right? This is somebody where they don't say he get money, no one can steal. But up till now, they've not been able to account for the money, right? Now, this is another news again. As you can see, on the 6th of August, 2025, that is the next year. As you can see, 2023, 2024, they did some minor loan, but these are like the major loans, right? Federal government gets $25 million Kuwait loan to tackle Kaduna out of school crisis. So they carry loan, they give Kaduna State. But we'll come for the major one. Now, the major one, again, on the 22nd of August 2025, breaking, the federal government has secured another $238 million loan from Japan International Cooperation Agency to strengthen national grid, following high-level engagement led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Minister of Power. 800 million, as soon as he assumed office, they collected 747 million, they collected 300 and something million, they collected 25 million, and now this is another $238 million that was collected for power. See, they won't give us light. Until today, we still don't get light. I'm coming, right? These same people again, Nigeria take just $2 billion loan from China. They go collect 238 million from Japan. Inote. On the 8th of October, they collected 238 million, 22nd of August. Then October, that same year, August, September, October, 2 months later, they went to go and request for $2 billion from China. Right? Now, on the 3rd of November 2025, again, Tinubu went again. World Bank confirms Nigeria fresh $1 billion loan request from Tinubu's government. Let's do a recap. When he entered office, 800 million. They collected 747 million for coastal highway. They collected another 340 something million again for that same coastal highway. They call it telecom infrastructure. They collected $25 million and they gave it to Kaduna State government. They collected $238 million from Japan. They requested $2 billion from China. And again, as you can see, they requested another $1 billion loan from World Bank. Right? Now, this money they requested 3rd of November 2025. Now, on the 8th of November 2025, by this time, campaign has started. Guess what Tinubu decided to do? As you can see, Tinubu government give each governor joining APC. For you to join APC, he started sharing money to the governor. 250 billion naira was what he started giving the governors. Each governor will go join APC. 250 billion. If you have this kind of money, why are you going to collect loan? Unless if you are collecting loan and using it to do politics, which is very, very crazy. Senators were collecting 1 billion. Senators were taking 1 billion. Governors were taking 250 billion. Their rep members were taking 500 million for them to defect and join APC. That is why a lot of them were joining APC as at that time. Now I make you see a lot of governors. So far so good. I think they have 32 governors out of 35 state governors. I think so far so good. They have about 32 governors that are in the APC. About 32 governors that are in the APC. 32 governors that are in the APC. Now, lastly, this one is just early this month. Yeah, early this month. Yeah. Tinubu government seeks another $1.2 billion World Bank loan just early this month. So we'll do a recap again. 800 million in 2023, 747 million, 340 something million, 230 something million, 20 something million, 2 billion. They seek 2 billion from China. They collected 1 point something billion. They collected 1 billion from World Bank. And then just a few weeks ago here, they collected another 1.2 billion. All this money, there's no security in the country. There's high level of poverty. The prices of food have skyrocketed. The price of clothes have skyrocketed. The price of water has skyrocketed. So far, so good. You cannot point to one direction and say this is what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have been able to achieve. So before Mitchell bring our toxicology test results, this one where we don't test, where we don't see if we do anything, I don't think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should still come back again and campaign. Like I said, I am curious as to what he will use to campaign. The tests have already been done. He had a whole 4 years. He had a whole 4 years. If he could not do anything in that 4 years, you could not, nobody can say, now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu do this. Instead, they used our money to be doing campaign. That's what he has done so far. The money is there. You are still borrowing money. Everything since you came went over the roof. The rich became the middle class became the poor are nowhere to be found. Farmers cannot go to farm. Children cannot go to schools. Teachers cannot go to schools to teach because of kidnappers. People can no longer use the road to travel under your regime. This is saying you that during the time of good luck, you were talking left, right, and center that you would do this, this, you people. You don't deserve a second time. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, step down. The test have already been done. Just step down. Peace and love.
Imagine finally cutting your absolute biggest household expense. You're expecting to finally build up your savings, only to immediately go out and take out 5 new mortgages.
Right. It just completely defies basic logic.
Yeah.
I mean, you expect a massive financial surplus, but instead you're watching this massive borrowing spree unfold in real time.
Yeah. And that paradox is exactly what we are unpacking today. So welcome. We're exploring a really passionate video from the creator known as Very Dark Black Man.
Right. And he's basically making the case that the test results are officially out for Nigerian President Bola Tinubu's administration.
Exactly. We are breaking down his assessment of the government's initial promises against the actual reality that citizens are facing right now.
And what's really fascinating is how he frames this entire argument around one massive policy pivot. When the administration took office back in May 2023, their immediate move was to remove fuel subsidies.
Right, and the public was told, this is going to save the country billions. It's short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah. But the creator points out that the reality was, well, the exact opposite.
Yeah. Instead of building a savings account, it triggered just this absolute avalanche of national debt, which is crazy. Why does that happen? How do you, remove a massive subsidy and still end up borrowing more?
Well, it really comes down to the mechanics of economic pressure. When a government removes a subsidy like fuel, the cost of living spikes almost overnight.
Oh, right, because transportation, food production, it all just instantly gets more expensive.
Exactly. So to stabilize the economy, or at least project progress, administrations often pivot hard toward massive infrastructure projects.
Yeah.
But because domestic cash is suddenly tight, or maybe mismanaged, they turn to foreign capital.
And the creator actually tracks the velocity of that foreign capital to show just how fast this debt piled up.
Yeah, he notes an immediate $800 million World Bank loan right out of the gate in July 2023.
Wow. And then he builds this whole timeline of targeted borrowing. By late 2023 and into the summer of 2025, he points to hundreds of millions from Deutsche Bank for the Lagos-Calabar highway.
Right. And then in July 2025, another $347 million for coastal highway telecom infrastructure.
And then August 2025, there's a $25 million loan from Kuwait for an out-of-school crisis in Kaduna, plus $238 million from Japan, meant specifically for the national power grid.
And it doesn't stop there. I mean, heading from late 2025 into May 2026, he highlights requests for another $2 billion from China, plus $1 billion confirmed from the World Bank, and they just sought another $1.2 billion from the World Bank.
I mean, it's honestly someone frantically opening new credit cards to pay off the old ones while claiming they got a massive raise.
That is a perfect analogy. The sheer velocity of the borrowing is really the core of his critique.
But here's where I need to ask a question. With all these specific stated purposes, like power and highways, how is the speaker actually measuring the return on investment?
Well, impartially speaking, he highlights that despite this massive influx of capital earmarked for infrastructure and education, these funds are, in his view, entirely unaccounted for.
Right, because he points out that the power grid is still failing.
Exactly. Even with that Japan loan, the power grid is still a mess.
But wait, if a country is securing billions for infrastructure, how does the system simultaneously allow for such a complete collapse in basic security and living standards?
That is the big disconnect. He paints a really stark picture of the citizens' daily reality, skyrocketing food and clothing prices, the total erasure of the middle class.
Yeah, and the insecurity he describes is terrifying. He talks about kidnappers literally preventing farmers from farming and teachers from teaching.
Right, but he contrasts that extreme daily hardship with this explosive allegation of political spending. He claims that in November 2025, the government distributed massive sums. We're talking 250 billion naira to governors, plus billions more to senators and reps.
And the alleged goal there was what? To entice them to join the ruling APC party.
Exactly, to consolidate political power.
So, using state resources for political gain while the actual safety and infrastructure of the country crumble.
That is the ultimate friction he's pointing out. It's the macroeconomic ledger versus the microeconomic reality.
Yeah.
And that is why his ultimate demand is total transparency.
Because in his eyes, they failed the test.
Right. He argues these unfulfilled promises and missing funds mean the administration hasn't just struggled, they have fundamentally failed. To the point where he's actually demanding the president step down rather than campaign for a second term.
Wow. So to wrap this up for you listening, we are looking at a truly stark paradox. Billions of dollars in rapid-fire international loans meant to build up a nation, stacked against allegations of a collapsing standard of living, and massive, unaccounted-for political spending.
It really forces you to look at how national debt is actually felt on the ground.
Definitely. Which leaves us with a critical question to ponder. When a government's ledger shows billions invested, but the citizens' daily reality reflects worsening poverty and insecurity, what mechanisms can a population actually use to audit the true cost of their nation's debt?
Yeah, that is a heavy question.
Something to mull over the next time you see a headline about a massive new national loan.